Hey, what's going on? You need to treat every single day like it's day one. The key lesson here is that you cannot lean on your habits to carry you throughout the day. Now, granted, your days become a lot easier when you have your routines in place. All your routines are installed, your habits are installed, and yeah, your habits will become easier to complete because it's just another day. However, self-deception occurs right at the moment when you least think it can happen to you. Right? As soon as you become overconfident in your own abilities to keep up, that is when you will fall. And so I experienced that a little bit today where it was just like, I realized that I still have to have that proactive vigor throughout my day, every single day, as if it's day one, as if I haven't done it before. I need to have that constant intentionality. Otherwise, I will not be able to keep up a high standard all day, every single day. If I just rely on an identity that I've built up unconsciously by successfully completing habits for several days, if I just lean on that, it's eventually gonna break, right? Because you can't just lean on an idea in your mind. You need to lean on watching yourself actually completing the habit through your direct experience in every single moment. I think this is a huge thing, because if you're like most people, a lot of people will easily fall for this trap where they think they're doing good and then they don't look out for the compression phase when it comes to changing yourself. So what inevitably is going to happen once you start having a lot of really good days is when you start to slip a little bit, you'll start to loosen up your integrity with your habits, with your higher self. You have to constantly realign yourself every single day, and you have to be vigilant with where you are slipping. And this is why explicitizing your routines is so important. See my previous video on that. Because explicitizing your routines is what allows us to create awareness around whether or not we are on point or not. You can't change what you cannot measure, right? And so if you're not explicit about certain ways you're defining your own performance, then it's all going to be hazy and you're not going to be able to pinpoint when you are slipping until it's too late, until it's rolled up into such a huge snowball that it just comes crashing, and then everything starts crashing down and you start having an ego backlash like no tomorrow. And I think this is one of the best ways you can notice when you're in a compression phase or a phase of ego backlash. So if you think of like expansion and compression, right? So you're expanding into a new self, you're expanding outside into your comfort zone, uncomfort zone, right? Outside of your comfort zone. Right? And then your compression, where like the homeostasis mechanisms of your mind and body and being is starting to kick in and it's starting to try and make you the same again, right? So it's going to compress and try and make you the same by slipping up. And if you have all these systems in place where you can measure where you're slipping up, then you will be able to quickly notice when you are lacking, pretty much. And then you'll be able to understand, oh, I'm in a compression phase, so let's up the self-care. Let's, up the intentionality with the routines, and like be more vigilant such that like if I can survive through this compression phase, then that is my chance to level up once again, to lock in this permanent behavior. But when I say permanent behavior, don't think that there is such a thing as a behavior that is permanent. You have to put in the work every single day as if it's day one. Otherwise, you're going to slip. You have to be conscious of how you're slipping. And the more rigid you can put these boundaries between, the more rigid you can make these systems, the more you can easily pinpoint, if you're even like a minute off, you'll be able to identify very quickly and pivot very quickly to make sure that you are not going to just completely fall off the rails, like a train, just like completely falling off the rails and killing hundreds, right? You don't want to have that blood on your hands. So remind yourself today and in the future that you have to treat every day like day one, and you have to practice having vigor. You have to practice showing up. You have to practice having that excitement that you had in day one, that intention. When you first started, a new chapter of your life, and you were extremely excited and motivated, and you were ready to conquer the world, right? And then what does day 90 look like, right? Hopefully day 90 looks like the same as day one. If it's not, then there's something you're doing wrong. Maybe it's your self-talk, right? Maybe it is a lack of positive self-talk. Maybe you're talking yourself into a hole when you're suffering through these habits, and you're not putting this suffering into a context. You're not grounding this suffering with any meaning, and you're not using that suffering to solidify your core beliefs in a positive manner. Because it's what we say to ourselves during suffering do we solidify our core beliefs. So it's important to keep that positive self-talk during these moments of suffering, especially the self-inflicted adversity, such as the really tough morning routines. Watching our self-talk during that time, making sure that's locked in as positive, that's going to help you go way farther than anybody else, because you're going to be motivated. You might even create a momentum where the next day is better than the last every time, because you're just ready to just kill it every single day. You're ready to just absolutely murder your day. And so keep an eye out, because if you're having good momentum now, and especially if you're having good momentum now, and this is something new for you, this is something that you haven't done before, just wait. That day where it's going to become more challenging, that day where reality is going to throw something random at you, that day of compression is coming. And the only question is are you going to be prepared for it? Are you going to be ready for it? Right? And how are you going to be able to identify it? Right? Put systems in place to be able to identify it. Right? Have positive attitudes already installed such that when it comes, you understand. And use this video to help you increase that awareness. Right? Such that, on the days that it sucks more, it means more when it sucks more. You have to understand that. Right? If it didn't suck, then it wouldn't be something worth fussing over, right? It wouldn't be valuable. So have the courage every single day to realign yourself with that positive mental attitude and that vigor that you had on day one. And watch out, because even if it's difficult, it doesn't matter. When it starts getting difficult, you're expecting it to be easy because you've been doing it for 90 days, 100 days, whatever. Expect it to be difficult as if it's day one. You got to rewire expectations. And when it starts to get even more difficult, look forward to that, actually. Reframe it as I can't wait until, I hit my fucking next ego backlash. Because when I hit my next ego backlash, boy, I'm gonna smash my goals even harder to lock in a higher state of being. So hopefully that gives you some good insight. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Peace out.